Have you ever wondered why some people seem to bend reality to their will while others struggle endlessly, doing all the right things yet getting nowhere? What if I told you that nearly 5 centuries ago, a Florentine diplomat uncovered a secret so powerful about human nature and manifestation that it's been deliberately obscured, hidden behind misinterpretations and political controversy? Niccolo Machiavelli didn't just write about political strategy. He exposed the fundamental laws of how inner conviction shapes external reality. And what I'm about to share with you today might completely transform how you understand power, success, and the very fabric of your existence. You see, most people approach life believing that their circumstances control them, that reality is something happening to them rather than responding through them. But Machiavelli understood something profound that modern self-help gurus still get wrong. He observed princes, merchants, generals, and peasants alike, and he noticed an undeniable pattern. Those who rose to power weren't necessarily the most talented, the most educated, or even the most virtuous. They were the ones whose inner state, their unshakable beliefs and emotional climate, broadcast a frequency that reality had no choice but to match. Has this ever happened to you? You've watched someone less qualified than you succeed while you remained stuck, and you couldn't quite understand why? But before we begin diving deeper into these forbidden principles, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Machiavelli wrote in The Prince that it is better to be feared than loved. But what most scholars missed is the deeper metaphysical truth embedded in that statement. He wasn't just talking about political manipulation. He was revealing that your identity, your core sense of self, commands creation itself. The universe doesn't respond to your surface desires, your vision boards, or your occasional positive affirmations. Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to discover might surprise you. The cosmos answers to something far more primal. Your deepest convictions, those unspoken assumptions buried so deep in your soul that you don't even recognize them as beliefs anymore. Think about it this way. A prince who merely wishes for power while secretly believing himself unworthy will attract betrayal and downfall. But a prince who embodies sovereignty at his very core, who has transformed his identity rather than just his actions, finds that kingdoms literally rearrange themselves at his feet. Machiavelli observed this pattern repeatedly, and he understood that what you are creates your throne, not what you do. Your emotional climate, your hidden expectations, your unconscious assumptions, these form the invisible mold through which reality pours its substance. So the question becomes, if your inner state is broadcasting a frequency every single moment, creating ripples that attract circumstances mirroring your internal climate, what exactly are you broadcasting right now? And more importantly, what happens when you finally understand how to master this hidden mechanism that Machiavelli observed in the courts of Renaissance Italy? You see, he watched princes rise and fall, and he noticed something that most historians completely overlooked. Every single external outcome, every alliance formed, every battle won, every territory lost, was nothing more than a perfect mirror reflection of the prince's internal state. This is what I call the mirror principle of power, and it's operating in your life right now whether you realize it or not. Think about your current reality for a moment. Every disappointment you've experienced, every unexpected victory, every relationship that flourished or crumbled, these aren't random events happening to you. They're precise reflections of your own inner expectations. Machiavelli understood that the strategic mastermind doesn't waste energy trying to manipulate external circumstances. Instead, they focus entirely on what stands before the mirror, knowing that the reflection has no choice but to change accordingly. This is the hidden truth that separates those who command reality from those who are commanded by it. Now, I want to go even deeper into this transformation because here's where most people stumble on their journey. Your self-perception isn't some private internal matter that stays locked inside your mind. It's broadcasting constantly, like an invisible signal radiating out into the world around you. When you carry hidden fears of being overlooked, undervalued, or not enough, reality validates those fears with surgical precision. Machiavelli observed this in the behavior of weak princes. They secretly doubted their right to rule, and inevitably, their kingdoms reflected that doubt through rebellion, betrayal, and collapse. But the princes who cultivated unshakable inner confidence without needing constant validation from others, they created what I call magnetic attraction. Opportunities appeared, loyal supporters materialized, resources flowed to them as if guided by an unseen hand. Shift your self-perception at the core level and watch how quickly circumstances rearrange themselves like subjects bowing before their rightful sovereign. This isn't positive thinking or visualization exercises. This is understanding the fundamental architecture of how reality responds to the frequency of self-worth you're transmitting every single moment. If this resonated with you, subscribe to the channel. What we covered today is just the beginning, and I want to make sure you're here for what comes next. The master strategist, as Machiavelli documented, holds unwavering images of desired outcomes with the same certainty that a sculptor sees the completed masterpiece hidden within raw marble. Most people abandon their visions the moment resistance appears, the instant doubt creeps in, or when external circumstances seem to contradict what they're trying to create. But here's the revelation that changes everything: your ability to maintain vision, to hold that image steady regardless of current appearances, is what shapes formless potential into solid form. Creation doesn't follow skillful action alone. It follows dominant belief. The prince who can sustain his vision of a unified kingdom while surrounded by chaos will watch reality conform to that vision, piece by piece, decision by decision, until what was once imagination becomes the throne he sits upon. This is the moment where you have to make a choice about what you're going to believe is possible. Write in the comments, "I see the mirror clearly now," if this is starting to make sense to you, because what I'm about to reveal next about how Machiavelli understood the relationship between imagination and power will completely reshape how you approach every decision in your life. Because here's what Machiavelli truly understood that gets lost in all the political analysis. Your thoughts aren't just fleeting mental activity that disappears into nothing. They're invisible molds, architectural blueprints into which the substance of reality flows and takes shape. When he observed the great princes and leaders of his time, he noticed that those who held their beliefs with absolute devotion, with religious fervor even, watched those beliefs become tangible forces that moved armies, shifted alliances, and built empires. This is the hidden truth behind what appears to be luck or divine favor. When you maintain a vision with the same consistency as the sunrise, day after day, regardless of storms or setbacks, the universe has no choice but to reshape itself around your conviction. This isn't about wishful thinking or hoping really hard that something will happen. This is understanding the fundamental architecture of power itself, the mechanics operating behind the scenes of every major transformation in history. The princes who failed were the ones who changed their vision every time circumstances shifted. The ones who prevailed held their imagination steady like a North Star, and reality bent to match. Now, I want to go even deeper into something that might sound counterintuitive at first, but it's one of the most powerful revelations Machiavelli left us: The wise prince, he observed, practices gratitude not as some moral virtue or spiritual exercise, but as a strategic weapon. When you steep yourself in genuine appreciation for what already exists, you're doing something profound at an energetic level. You're tuning yourself to higher frequencies of manifestation. Think of it like clearing static from a radio signal. All that resistance, all that focus on lack and what's missing creates interference that blocks abundance from reaching you. Gratitude transforms that resistance into pure receptivity, and suddenly doors that seemed forever sealed begin to swing open as if they were never locked at all. The impact of this shift is immediate and measurable. Machiavelli would have recognized it instantly. The prince who appreciates his current resources, however modest, attracts more. Resources. The one who complains about what he lacks repels the very opportunities that could change everything. This is strategy, not sentiment. This is understanding how the field of possibilities responds to your dominant emotional frequency. And here's where we get to something that modern culture has completely misunderstood, something that would have been obvious to Machiavelli as he studied human nature in all its raw complexity. Your authentic desires, those deep yearnings that won't go away no matter how much you try to suppress them. These aren't weaknesses or distractions from your path. They're cosmic coordinates, a divine compass pointing directly toward your expansion and evolution. When you honor these genuine longings without guilt or shame, when you stop pretending you don't want what you actually want, you align yourself with the same creative force that shapes empires and transforms entire civilizations. But when you suppress desire, when you deny what truly calls to you because of fear or judgment or because someone told you it wasn't practical, you create shadows. These shadows dim your natural radiance, cloud your strategic clarity, and disconnect you from the very guidance system designed to lead you toward your highest expression of power. Machiavelli understood this intimately. The prince who denies his true nature never achieves greatness, while the one who embraces it with courage becomes unstoppable. If you're beginning to see how these principles connect, how they form a complete system of manifestation that Machiavelli encoded in his observations of power, drop in the comments. The compass is pointing, because what I'm about to share next reveals how your relationship with enthusiasm actually determines whether you're on the right path or heading toward disaster. You see, Machiavelli was a master observer of human energy, and he noticed something that most strategists completely missed. Joy doesn't just feel good, it magnetizes similar frequencies with mathematical precision. When a prince genuinely felt excitement about a particular strategy or alliance, that authentic enthusiasm signaled something far deeper than personal preference. It was cosmic alignment, confirming that this path carried the energy signature of success. This is a revelation that changes everything about how you make decisions. When you feel that spark of genuine excitement about an opportunity, a relationship, or a direction in life, you're not just experiencing a pleasant emotion. You're receiving confirmation from universal forces that this choice resonates with your highest trajectory. Energy infused with true desire, with real enthusiasm, attracts prosperity naturally without any force or manipulation required. The princes Machiavelli admired didn't grind themselves into exhaustion, pursuing goals that felt heavy and obligatory. They followed the current of authentic excitement and watched resources flow to them as if magnetized. But here's where the transformation gets even more profound, and this is something Machiavelli understood at a level that still hasn't been fully appreciated. Every single belief you hold acts as a direct command to the creative forces shaping your reality. Not a suggestion, not a preference, a command. He observed that conviction, not circumstance, determines destiny every single time. The prince who believes himself destined for greatness despite humble origins will find reality rearranging itself to accommodate that conviction. The prince born into wealth who secretly believes himself unworthy will watch his kingdom crumble regardless of advantageous circumstances. Each belief you carry right now is instructing energy on what forms to manifest in your experience. When you replace skepticism with openness to possibility, when you shift from "this could never work for me" to "I wonder what might be possible," reality responds with elegant synchronicity that borders on miraculous. Your beliefs aren't fixed truths about the world. They're fluid possibilities awaiting your conscious direction. This is the master key Machiavelli discovered, and it's why he focused so intensely on the prince's mindset rather than just external tactics. Now, I want to go even deeper into the intelligence system you already possess, but probably haven't learned to read properly. Emotions, which most people treat as inconvenient burdens or obstacles to overcome, are actually sacred messengers, carrying vital intelligence about your alignment with truth and power. Machiavelli would have recognized them immediately as an inner barometer, a precise measurement tool showing you the gap between what you're thinking and what your soul knows to be true. When you feel joy, genuine lightness, or expansion, that's your system confirming harmony with power, telling you that your thoughts and trajectory are aligned with your highest path. When you feel contraction, heaviness, or persistent discomfort, that's not weakness or negativity. It's your internal guidance system pointing toward contradictory beliefs that need examination. Master the language of emotion. Learn to read these signals with the same precision that Machiavelli read political currents, and you hold the keys to conscious creation itself. This isn't about forcing positivity or suppressing difficult feelings. It's about understanding that every emotional response is data, information about whether your current beliefs are serving your ascension or sabotaging it behind the scenes. If this framework is starting to click for you, if you're seeing how these pieces form a complete system of power that operates whether you're aware of it or not, leave a comment saying, "I'm reading the signals now," because what comes next reveals the relationship between faith and manifestation. And this might be the most challenging principle for the modern mind to accept, yet it's the one Machiavelli considered absolutely essential. The strategic mind operates on a truth that seems to defy logic. Evidence always follows belief, never preceding it. Think about that for a moment. You're waiting for proof before you believe, but the universe is waiting for your belief before it provides proof. This creates a paradox that keeps most people trapped in their current reality forever. Machiavelli taught that faith isn't religious sentiment. It's a vital force that sustains the unseen until it crystallizes into physical form. When you study the princes who achieved the impossible, who unified fractured territories or turned peasant armies into conquering forces, you find this pattern every single time. They lived success in advance through unwavering conviction. They carried themselves with the certainty of victory before the battle was won, spoke with the authority of power before the crown touched their head, made decisions from abundance before resources appeared. And external circumstances had no choice but to match that internal certainty, because your belief creates energetic blueprints that reality must fill. Hit that like button if this shifted something for you. Your engagement helps this reach others who need to hear it. This is why those who wait for conditions to improve before changing their mindset never experience transformation. They've reversed the natural order of creation. The shift happens inside first, always, and then the outside world reorganizes itself to reflect that inner change. Now, I want to go even deeper into something that most people completely misinterpret on their journey toward power and manifestation. What appears in your life as obstacle, as resistance, as things going wrong, these aren't punishments or signs that you're on the wrong path, Machiavelli recognized with striking clarity that contrast serves as the sculptor of desire. Every challenge you face is actually refining your vision, cutting away what you don't want with such precision, that what you do want becomes crystal clear. The wise leader doesn't curse setbacks or see them as failures. Instead, they bow to these experiences as teachers, extracting wisdom and greater clarity from every apparent defeat. Think about how a diamond is formed through intense pressure over time. Your desires are being cut and polished the same way. That job that didn't work out showed you exactly what kind of work environment you actually need. That relationship that ended revealed precisely what qualities matter most to you in a partner. The financial struggle clarified your true relationship with abundance. This is the hidden truth operating behind the scenes of your entire life. Every bit of resistance is sharpening your vision, making your intentions more precise, preparing you for the manifestation that's being customized to your evolved preferences. And here's where we arrive at one of the most immediately practical principles Machiavelli encoded in his observations, something you can begin applying the moment this video ends. Every syllable that leaves your mouth carries creative force. Your words aren't passive descriptions of reality, they're active instructions to infinite possibility, shaping the invisible architecture that will soon become your visible experience. Machiavelli understood that speech is literally a form of command, of decree. When you speak of lack, when you constantly say, "I can't afford it," or "nothing ever works out for me," or "I'm always struggling," you're not describing your situation. You're commanding it to continue, weaving poverty and limitation into the fabric of your tomorrow. But when you guard your speech as carefully as you guard your greatest treasures, when you speak of abundance even before it appears, when you describe your vision with the certainty of someone reporting facts rather than fantasizing about possibilities, you weave prosperity into existence. This isn't about lying or denying reality. It's about understanding that your words are the tools through which consciousness shapes matter, and you've been using them unconsciously your entire life. If you're recognizing how much power you've been giving away through unconscious speech and belief patterns, drop a comment that says, "I'm choosing my words now because what I'm about to reveal next ties all of this together in a way that shows you exactly how these principles operate simultaneously in your life right now, creating either the reality you want or the one you've been unconsciously commanding. Because here's something most people never grasp about manifestation and power. Your words matter, absolutely, but there's something even more fundamental at work. You are, in every moment, like a transmission tower broadcasting frequencies that shape your world in real time. Machiavelli knew this intuitively when he observed that a prince's inner song, his true emotional state, mattered infinitely more than his outer performance or carefully crafted speeches. You can say all the right affirmations, speak positively, present yourself perfectly to the world, but if underneath those words, your emotional frequency is broadcasting fear, doubt, or unworthiness, that's what the universe receives and mirrors back to you. The cosmos perceives your quietest thoughts, your hidden anxieties, your secret beliefs with perfect clarity. It doesn't listen to your words, it reads your vibration, your emotional tone, the frequency you're transmitting beneath all the surface noise determines what experiences magnetize toward you, what people enter your orbit, and what level of power and opportunity aligns with your field. This is why you can't fake your way to transformation. The universe isn't fooled by performance. It responds to authenticity, to the genuine frequency you're holding in the depths of your being. When you shift that core vibration, when you actually become the frequency of success rather than just performing it, reality has no choice but to rearrange itself accordingly. Now I want to go even deeper into the strategic advantage that Machiavelli would have immediately recognized as essential preparation for power. While most people see only their current circumstances, accepting them as permanent reality, the wise engage in something far more profound: quiet visualization as a form of strategic preparation. Your inner theater, that space where you imagine and rehearse desired outcomes with unwavering certainty, isn't fantasy or daydreaming. It's your blueprint, your architectural plan that you're broadcasting into the field of infinite possibility. When you envision your success with the same consistency that you brush your teeth, when you hold images of your desired life with steady conviction rather than desperate hope, you're transmitting frequencies of excellence that transcend whatever limitations currently surround you. This vision, held steadily without wavering, attracts its perfect match from the vast ocean of potential futures available to you. Machiavelli understood that the prince who could maintain internal certainty of victory, even while surrounded by enemies and setbacks, was the one who ultimately prevailed, because that inner vision was constantly broadcasting and attracting the circumstances, allies, and opportunities needed for its fulfillment. And this brings us to something absolutely fascinating that operates in your life, whether you're paying attention or not. Reality is constantly speaking to you through signs and synchronicities, through a divine alphabet far older than language itself. The strategic mind, the one attuned to power and manifestation, begins to notice recurring patterns, meaningful coincidences, and cosmic confirmations that most people dismiss as random chance. Machiavelli, studying the rise and fall of kingdoms, understood that nothing is truly random. Each moment carries meaning. Each synchronicity serves as confirmation or redirection. When you learn to read this subtle language, when you start recognizing that the book falling open to exactly the right page, the conversation overheard at precisely the right moment, the person who appears just when you need them, these aren't accidents, but responses from a living, intelligent universe communicating with you. Your world transforms into a living oracle, constantly providing guidance, confirmation, and course corrections. If you're starting to notice synchronicities appearing more frequently as you watch this, if reality seems to be confirming these principles even as you learn them, comment, "The signs are everywhere," because what I'm revealing next shows you how to accelerate this entire process through understanding one of the most counterintuitive principles of wealth and power that Machiavelli observed in the courts of Renaissance Italy. Most people approach resources, whether money, opportunities, or connections, as a finite pool that must be hoarded and protected at all costs. They clutch tightly, afraid that giving anything away means having less. But Machiavelli recognized something profound. Wealth is not a stagnant pool, but a living stream that must flow to remain vibrant and abundant. When you give strategically, when you allow resources to circulate through you rather than stagnate around you, you create channels through which prosperity naturally flows back multiplied. The princes who hoarded every coin, who refused to invest in alliances or reward loyalty, inevitably found their treasuries empty and their kingdoms vulnerable. But those who understood circulation, who gave generously while maintaining strategic wisdom, watched wealth pour toward them from unexpected sources. This isn't about reckless generosity or giving what you can't afford. It's about understanding that clutching too tightly signals scarcity to the universe, and scarcity becomes your reality. Abundance thrives in motion, in exchange, in the confidence that more is always available. When you release your grip and allow flow, you align with the natural current of prosperity itself. Now, I want to go even deeper into why so many people struggle despite working hard and knowing these principles intellectually. The answer lies in something Machiavelli considered the prince's greatest weapon: unity of purpose. Scattered attention dilutes creative force so dramatically that it renders you virtually powerless. When your intentions fragment across competing desires, wanting financial success while simultaneously pursuing 5 different business ideas, seeking a relationship while maintaining contradictory beliefs about what you deserve, trying to manifest health while holding on to destructive habits, you're sending mixed signals to the universal field. Machiavelli taught that mastery requires laser-like concentration, singular focus that eliminates all distraction and doubt. When you pour your energy into one clear intention, when every thought and action aligns behind a unified purpose, you send an unambiguous signal that the universe can match with precision. This is the hidden truth behind every great achievement throughout history. Not superior talent or favorable circumstances, but the power of concentrated focus acting as a magnetic force that draws all necessary elements together. The moment you commit fully to one path, one vision, one transformation, resources begin moving toward you as if orchestrated by an invisible hand. But here's where many people sabotage themselves without realizing it, and this revelation might be the most important shift you make today. The strategic mind masters both giving and receiving. Machiavelli would immediately recognize that deflecting support, refusing compliments, or pushing away offers of help creates massive resistance in the fabric of manifestation. Every time you say, "Oh, it was nothing," when someone praises your work, every time you refuse assistance because you think you should do everything alone, every time you feel uncomfortable accepting gifts or opportunities, you're essentially telling the universe, "I'm not worthy of receiving good things." Your capacity to receive with grace, to accept appreciation without deflection, to allow support without guilt, this mirrors your soul's deepest belief about what you deserve. When you open yourself gracefully to assistance and abundance in all its forms, you complete the circuit of universal flow. Energy must move in both directions. If you're only comfortable giving but resistant to receiving, you've created a broken circuit where manifestation cannot fully occur. The transformation happens when you recognize that receiving gracefully is not selfish. It's essential to the natural flow of abundance. If this is revealing patterns in your own behavior that might be blocking your manifestation, write in the comments, "I'm opening the circuit now," because what comes next connects all of these principles into a practical framework for implementing real transformation in your life. Starting with something that might sound soft or spiritual, but is actually pure strategic necessity. Resentment, grudges, and held grievances aren't just emotional burdens. They're magnetic fields actively attracting similar turmoil into your experience. Machiavelli understood something that modern psychology is only beginning to validate. Forgiveness is not a moral virtue you practice to be a good person. It's a strategic advantage you employ to reclaim your power. Every time you hold on to judgment, replaying past betrayals or nursing old wounds, you're broadcasting a frequency of conflict that the universe must match. You're essentially commanding more situations that validate your belief that people can't be trusted, that you'll always be wronged, that injustice follows you. Each grievance you carry becomes a weight pulling you toward discord and away from the possibilities waiting to emerge. When you release this energy, not because the other person deserves forgiveness, but because you deserve freedom, new realities suddenly become accessible. Opportunities that were blocked by your resentment can now reach you. Relationships that couldn't form while you vibrated at the frequency of mistrust can now enter your field. This is strategy disguised as spirituality. Now, I want to go even deeper into something that's probably been happening in your life without you recognizing the pattern behind it. Those recurring struggles, the same types of relationship problems appearing with different people, the same financial situations repeating despite your best efforts, the same obstacles showing up in new disguises, these are not punishments from an unkind universe. Machiavelli would recognize them immediately as invitations to evolve, as patient teachers presenting the same lesson in different forms until you finally shift your energetic signature. The universe is not cruel, it's efficient. It will continue presenting similar scenarios until you change your response, until you break the loop by choosing differently at the level of frequency and belief. Each repetition is actually a fresh opportunity, a new chance to demonstrate that you've learned the lesson, that you've transformed your vibration. The moment you shift your internal response, the external pattern collapses and new realities unfold as if by magic. But it was never magic. It was simply the natural consequence of changing what you're broadcasting into the field of infinite possibility. And this brings us to perhaps the most important decision you'll make on this entire journey of manifestation and power. Fear, that visceral sensation that appears when you're facing something unknown or challenging, is not the enemy most people believe it to be. Machiavelli knew that fear is actually pointing toward evolution, not danger. It's your system's way of saying growth lives beyond this threshold. When you choose expansion over the comfort of your current limitations, when you step beyond the prison of safety and familiarity, you send an unmistakable signal to the universe that you're ready for greater possibilities. This is the hidden truth behind every major transformation. The universe responds not to your wishes, not to your hopes or dreams or vision boards, but to your willingness, to your actual choices in moments of decision. When you make brave choices despite fear, when you take action toward what calls you, even though it's terrifying, you create a magnetic force that attracts circumstances, people, and opportunities aligned with your expanded state. The impact is immediate. Doors that were invisible suddenly become apparent. Support appears from unexpected sources. The path forward illuminates itself step by step. If you're recognizing a pattern that's been repeating in your life and you're ready to break the loop by choosing courage over comfort, comment, "I'm breaking the pattern now," because what I'm about to share reveals how all of these principles work together to create something that might sound esoteric at first, but is actually the most practical understanding of manifestation you could possibly grasp. You are not a singular being, trapped in one timeline, limited to one version of yourself. You exist across infinite timelines simultaneously, and Machiavelli, if he had access to this knowledge, would have immediately recognized its strategic implications. Your higher self, that expanded aspect of your consciousness, is already living the outcomes you desire. That version of you who has the relationship, the wealth, the influence, the freedom, they exist right now in a parallel reality. When you align your current energy with that preferred reality's vibration, when you start feeling and thinking and acting as that version of yourself would, physical circumstances in your timeline shift naturally to match. This is the revelation that changes everything about how you approach manifestation. You're not forcing something into existence from nothing. You're not begging the universe for favors. You're simply tuning your frequency to match the reality where you've already achieved what you desire, and then allowing yourself to merge with that timeline. The transformation happens when you stop trying so hard and instead become the frequency of your aspiration. Now, I want to go even deeper into how you actually access this guidance, this intelligence that knows which timeline serves your highest evolution. The universe is constantly communicating with you, but not through the dramatic signs and burning bushes most people are waiting for. Machiavelli understood that true wisdom whispers in silence, that the most profound truths arrive not through noise, but through quiet knowing. When you release your demands for external validation, when you stop desperately seeking obvious confirmations and instead cultivate genuine inner stillness, guidance appears with elegant precision. This is not about meditation as a spiritual practice. It's about creating space for intelligence beyond your conscious mind to reach you. In the silence between thoughts, in those moments when you're not frantically planning or worrying or analyzing, a subtle certainty arises. That gentle knowing that says, yes, this way, or not that, this instead, is worth more than 1,000 logical arguments. Trust these quiet promptings. They're your connection to the version of yourself that sees the bigger picture, that knows which decisions lead to which outcomes across multiple timelines. And here's where everything comes together in a way that most people completely miss in their pursuit of success and manifestation. Joy is not a luxury you indulge in after you've achieved your goals. It's not the reward for hard work. Machiavelli would recognize immediately that pleasure is strategic necessity, that genuine happiness broadcasts the clearest, most powerful beacon for manifestation that exists. When you radiate authentic joy, when you feel good right now regardless of circumstances, reality cannot help but match that signal, because joy operates at the highest frequency available to human consciousness. Creation itself, the force that shapes galaxies and builds kingdoms, expresses through delight. When you align with joy, when you prioritize feeling good as an actual strategy rather than treating it as frivolous distraction, you tap into the very current that shapes reality. This doesn't mean forcing positivity or pretending problems don't exist. It means recognizing that your capacity to feel genuine happiness right now, to find pleasure in simple moments, to experience lightness and ease, this is the most powerful manifesting tool you possess. The princes Machiavelli admired weren't grim, joyless strategists grinding toward goals. They were men who understood that operating from a state of enjoyment and confidence attracted loyalty, opportunities, and success far more effectively than desperation and struggle ever could. If you're starting to see how these seemingly separate principles actually form one unified system of power and creation, comment, "Joy is my strategy now," because what I'm about to reveal next shows you the final piece that brings all of Machiavelli's hidden wisdom into one complete framework that you can actually implement starting today. Look, if you've made it this far, you're clearly not someone who settles for surface-level information or quick fixes that don't actually work. You're searching for real understanding, for principles that create lasting transformation rather than temporary motivation. And that's exactly what we explore on this channel, the hidden mechanics behind power, manifestation, and conscious creation that most people never discover. So if this resonated with you, if you're recognizing patterns in your own life and seeing how these Machiavellian principles have been operating behind the scenes all along, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel. Because what we just covered today is only the beginning. There's so much more depth to explore, so many more revelations about how reality actually responds to consciousness, and I want to make sure you don't miss what's coming next. And listen, if you made it all the way to the end, drop a comment saying, "The prince within is awakening. I want to know." Who's actually applying this knowledge rather than just consuming content. These aren't just interesting ideas to think about. They're tools for reshaping your entire reality, and I'm genuinely curious to see who's ready to use them. Hit that like button if this shifted something for you, if you're seeing your circumstances differently now than you did 30 minutes ago. That connection we've built over the course of this video, that matters. Your engagement helps this message reach others who need to hear it, who are ready for this level of truth. And before you go, there's a video right here that takes what we discussed today even deeper into practical application. It complements everything you just learned perfectly. Click and continue with me over there, because the journey doesn't end here. It's just beginning.